Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. Carl Jung. So today we're talking about self-awareness as the key to success. Seems like everything's the key to success, you know? It's like setting goals, seeking clarity. Well, this is part of seeking clarity. So if you are not self-aware enough to know what things ignite your heart, what things will pull you, if you remember one of my YouTube videos a while back of talking about goals and setting goals, and Tony Robbins said it's not enough to just set a goal. You've got to have a goal that will sort of pull you along and make you get up in the morning and want to go to work, right? And so that's where you'll find it when you have a deeper self-awareness and you're really aware of what things really pull you along and which things are sort of duties, things that you feel like you have to do versus things that you should do. So the key to success is self-awareness. So as Jim Rohn says, if you want to have more, you have to become more. So that doesn't just mean you have to work more. It means that you have to understand what is serving you well and taking you closer and closer to your dreams and goals and what's not. And you understand that by looking inside as well as outside, right? So you need to understand what is required to achieve the goal and which of those traits do I currently possess, which things do I need to change and learn to do better. So it's difficult to change much about yourself very quickly without deep self-awareness. I hope that's obvious to you. Like, I'll say that again, it's difficult to change much about yourself very quickly without deep self-awareness. Now, you're going to change over time probably, right? Just because of, as a result of circumstance and income and different jobs, more kids, traumas, all kinds of stuff. They'll change you. They'll change your character. We all sort of mold to various characters and gain new perspective and things like that over time. But in order to really intentionally, which is a key word I constantly say, to intentionally change yourself in order to obtain those goals and dreams you have, you've really got to take a hard look. So it's difficult. You need to know your strengths and your weaknesses. That's the most obvious one. That's what people always talk about, especially when we're referring to like a job or entrepreneurship or something. It's easy to say, okay, where are my strengths? Where are my weaknesses? I need to hire around my weaknesses, right? Or the things I can't do myself. But what are your interests? What bothers you? What's your communication style like? How do other people perceive you? How do you perceive yourself versus what, the feedback you receive? How, what areas of cognitive dissonance exist in your life? Religion, relationships, how you serve others, how you perceive moral and ethical issues. Like the list goes on and on. You need to have a decent understanding of all of these things. The list is never ending. I'm not saying you're going to just capture your self-awareness overnight and be ready to go. In fact, this is a long journey. Self-awareness, I don't think real self-awareness ever stops because you experience new things and then understand more about yourself in that new scenario, with that new understanding. But a certain amount of self-awareness can be obtained within a fairly short time, within a year, 2 years of good work. Jeff Bezos says, you don't find your passion finds you. But I would say, how are you even able to recognize your passion, even if it was right under your nose, when you don't know a damn thing about yourself? So you need to, it's kind of both. You need to find out who you are, and then when you come across something that really strikes a chord with you, you'll know that this is something that you would like to pursue and that you'll be good at, and you're willing to work hard day in and day out for it. So in order to make lasting change in your life, you must be able to recognize and change your habits, patterns, and routines. So we were all raised in a culture, in many cultures actually. So like if you think of yourself, being raised within your family of origin, and sort of the culture there, the communication style, the dynamics between siblings, between parents. Did you fill a role within that family organization? Is there certain types of like code talk that you had within the family? Is it a family culture of like enmeshed culture, like codependency? Is it dependent and detached family? Independent and detached family culture. Like what happens there? Anyway, so there's family culture. Then there's like maybe your community or religion or a small town, and then there's a city or a state culture, and then your country culture, and then how does that work within the global culture, and of course today the culture online. Your schools, right? We all learn to navigate these various cultures. Now, as you learn to navigate this culture as a child or middle age or whatever, teenager, well, the thing is now as an adult, your circumstances are different than they were at that time that you were, formed these habits, routines, patterns, communication styles to be successful within the culture and location you were at. So many of those habits and things are probably not serving you all that well anymore. And you could use an evolution, some change. Some of them maybe didn't serve you very well anyway. You just learned them from the people around you and the circumstances, and it'd do anyone well to get rid of such patterns in your life. And so that's what we're talking about. But most of our habits are kind of formed and stick in a subconscious state, and so we just keep going. That's why when a child, raised by some sort of abusive person or an addict that has severe side effects, they go, I never want to be like my dad, or I never want to be like my mom, and then they grow up to be just like them. It's because there's certain emotional attachments, behaviors, habits, patterns, coping mechanisms that go into that. So it's worth your while to understand why. Why do you behave the way you do? Why does your mom or your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, your brother, why do they do these things? Why are those habits ingrained? So everyone learns from their experiences and from the people around them. So it's safe to say that in many ways we've come to fit the mold for a certain culture. And that goes from family to on up the scale, like I said. So this deeply rooted cultural perspective or blueprint, we could say, is one of the most challenging changes to make. If the world around you makes sense from the place that you currently stand, with the perspective you currently have and the information you've taken to heart as your reality, then it will be difficult to approach life with a different philosophy. However, there are millions of people living wonderful lives of purpose with fantastic relationships, with people they love, and a career of impact who have different perspectives and experiences. So with consistent effort and new information, this will inevitably change your perspective and vision. So you'll begin to learn and grow into a new, more successful individual. You'll begin to understand how to prioritize specific things in your life, how to let go of the cultures of the past that didn't serve you well, how to spot new opportunities, and engage with people who are also on the fast track to success. So make no mistake, I'm not saying you should be like anybody else and try to be exactly someone that you're not. I want you to find the best version of yourself, because it is truly your uniqueness that is your power. So like, what's the saying? Because Aristotle said, where your talents and the needs of the world cross lies your calling. So I truly believe that your unique talents, perspective, and spin that you can put on life is truly going to make you successful. So I want you to be yourself, but understand and learn from others that are trying different things than you, succeeding with different methods. More accurately stated. Self-awareness is the foundation for reaching our highest potential. Foundation. So that's what we need to launch off of. So when I'm talking about setting goals, seeking clarity, and giving intentional attention to a cause or a purpose or a goal, seeking clarity means I need to know myself. I need to know my all those things I listed to start the show, all the various perspectives I've developed, what I would like to develop, and how can that turn into an uncapped potential future for me. So take the time to understand your family dynamics, the relationships around you, your intimate relationships, your friends, your family. You might find out in your family that your grandfather experienced some traumatic event and his coping turned into some addiction or behavior or practice that you maybe saw as like negative but understandable because he was in war, lost his dad, or whatever the case may be, and you've had empathy towards that. But okay, well, now it's 2 generations down. Like, do I still need that coping mechanism? Do I still need that behavior in my life? Do I want to pass that on to my children? Like, that's what's kind of wild about some of these things is they literally get passed on from generation to generation if we don't intentionally change them. And it's kind of odd, but that's pretty true. There's definitely scenarios where it doesn't, but many of the cultural patterns that you see in your family of origin probably came down through the lines. It's interesting. You should take a look. It's worth taking a look. I actually did a lot of this work myself. I spent a few years working with a therapist and different people and groups and stuff like that. And I learned a ton about myself and about others and about the way I was actually looking at the world, at least according to the many people I was able to work with. So it's worth taking a look. And I must say, fair warning, as you begin to dig into some of these things, it will be disruptive, not only to you, but to the people around you. Remember, they're used to your patterns as well. They're used to you filling that role as the rescuer or the one that will fight with so-and-so because they're always a victim or they're a persecutor, and you're willing to come in and fight back or whatever. Like, I'm just throwing out random examples, but we all kind of fill roles within our relationships, whether it's the funny one or the what's the word I'm looking for? The assertive one or the kind one or the serving one or whatever. And then all of a sudden you start changing that up. People are going to go like, what's going on? I don't like this. This is uncomfortable. You're asking too many questions. You're not being yourself. You're not filling the role. They're not going to like it. But after a while, they'll settle back in. They'll still like you. You'll be, you'll redevelop a relationship with higher principles. So as you begin to sort of seek this clarity and self-awareness, part of knowing yourself well, you'll begin to understand what you are capable of. Like, what is the impact that you want to make? What's the legacy you want to leave? The relationships you want to develop? The projects and people that you want to give your time, attention, and talent to? Like, where do you want to put your energy in this life? And as you define that more clearly, you seek clarity through this process, you will have this uncapped potential to achieve anything you want. And suddenly you and your passion will find each other. Just as Jeff Bezos says, it'll find you and you'll recognize it, and you'll be able to take off. So as I'm talking about all this, what are some methods that you could use to, gain deeper self-awareness? Now, all the free stuff is sort of like there's tests online. You could go take a test. There's paid versions and free versions. Of course, the paid versions are usually a little more thorough, a little bit better, but there's free versions of tests that will help you understand your time, your talents, like things that you should work on, the way you're perceived, the way you perceive yourself, etc. One book that's interesting in regards to like business is StrengthsFinder. I've done a book review on this, but at the end, if you buy the new one, it gives you a code and you can go take an online test, and it will give you give you your strengths. So I took this a long time ago. Maybe it's different now, but my top 5 were futuristic, maximizer, ideation, learner, individualization. This book also helps you understand how you should work with other personalities and things. I just took a test at work that was called the DISC test, and it helps you understand like what your innate versus your adaptive levels of what does DISC stand for dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness, I believe. So where you are, and just so you know, I was actually pretty even across the board with those. Dominance was the lowest, influence was the highest, but I was very kind of even kill for most of them. Pretty much all of them were very close. So once again, a jack of all trades and an expert at none. I've started to think that that's true about me. Hopefully I'm somewhat of an expert in well, it did say in influence, right? And I think leadership is something that I truly love. I love to help and influence and lead people and teach them how to improve their skill set and their productivity and things like that. So anyway, I'll just wrap it up here saying with another Carl Jung quote where he says, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." So with that, I'm gonna wrap it up. But thank you all for listening. If you liked what you heard in this episode, please hit the subscribe button, leave me a review, and share this with your social media circles. Also, I'll leave a few books in the notes that I would recommend you reading. One of them was StrengthsFinder, but even better, I would say, is the Brene Brown stuff. So like Rising Strong was one that I read. She has a few more. I've actually read a couple of them, but I can't remember right now what the title is. But Brene Brown has some excellent work. Principles by Ray Dalio, maybe not quite as applicable, but Ray Dalio did have this is a major part of his story, was becoming self-aware. He predicted one thing and was so sure of himself that he put a lot of money into it, and he was wrong. And he couldn't believe he was wrong, but it took him a while to sort of reset and say, how the heck was I so wrong? I thought I was right, guaranteed. And he started looking for feedback and experts in different industries, and it changed the entire culture of his company and of himself personally. And he, after that, has become the most successful hedge fund manager ever. And so I'll throw that one in there too, Principles by Ray Dalio. So thanks again for tuning in, and I will catch you on the next one.